Hi, my name is Loretta, or Trinity6, and welcome to my channel, The Limitless Infinite, a space for you to align your mind to higher vibrations and higher frequencies. Today's video, following up kind of on a series of videos that I've been doing about shifting your 3D into 5D, or kind of just shifting your awareness. This video is really about finding your sense of self, or becoming acquainted with your sense of self, or understanding what your sense of self is. And the videos that I've done previously, if you haven't seen them, I'll put some of the links in the description down below, but they're really about understanding the difference between the negative, or how people might say the discordant frequencies that we feel as part of our life experience, and you. And understanding that you are not what you feel, that we experience a whole range of different kinds of feelings, and this video right now is gonna fully explain to you how that works and how that ties into understanding your sense of self. And so in the previous videos, I've talked about that you exist as this higher vibration and higher frequency, and when you feel something discordant, what you're doing is, here's you, this being, and then here's this discordant frequency, and when you become aware of it, here it is, you know it's there. When you engage with it, what happens is that you have this kind of connection, or some people might say entanglement with this. When you engage with it, not just briefly, but let's say a sustained engagement with this discordant frequency, what happens is you start resonating. So here's you. You exist as this high vibration, high frequency, it's stable, it's in its absolute perfection, and here's this other discordant frequency. And then you, all of a sudden, you're like aware of it, someone's like, let's say, yelling at you, and then instead of redirecting your attention back on you and not engaging in this, let's say in your case, you fully engaged. So now you're yelling at this person. What happens is, the longer that this interaction happens, your frequency is going to start resonating with it. So you were in this calm, blissful, serene state of peace, and now this energy that is yelling, that is discordant, in this case, the soul that is yelling at you, the person that is yelling at you, is not discordant, but they're resonating a frequency that's discordant. That's why it's coming out as this yelling. And then you're engaging, and then when you engage, what happens is now you're yelling and he's yelling, and if you were to sustain this for a very long time, what happens is you start resonating. So instead of being in this field of energy and this frequency and vibration, you all of a sudden start resonating. So you have this connection, you start feeling this frequency, and then you're resonating with it. And so when I say feeling this frequency and how that ties into sense of self, it's really important to know that that part of you, when you say sense of self, it is a way of understanding that here is the self, and the self's experience, the self that comes from divine source, that self is here as a being that senses. That's why they call it sense of self. And you can only have that sense of self when you are using your senses, and you're using your senses in all different realms, dimensions, however you want to call it. So when you feel a frequency, it's basically like your being here, your high vibration and frequency, whether it's discordant or not, even if it's something happy, when you say, I'm feeling happy, you can imagine that your sense of self, exactly as it would be if you were in the physical, if you could make that vibration of happy something tangible, you are basically reaching out with your little soul hand and you're grabbing onto that frequency and vibration, and then all of a sudden yourself, this, is sensing this frequency. And when you become aware of that sensing, and that you, in this manner of maybe etheric terms, have reached out with that self that you are and grabbed a hold of this frequency, and this is what we call engagement. When you choose, you make that choice to not just be aware of it, but to interact with it. That interaction is you going out, and it's like you touching this frequency. And once you touch that frequency, the frequency and vibration radiates up your little soul arm, and into yourself, and then you all of a sudden can feel what that vibration and frequency really is. So when you say, I'm feeling happy, it's not a state of, it can be a state of being, I guess, in a way that you are sustaining it, but whenever you think about how you use the word feeling, it's good to understand and visualize in your mind that you exist as this self, and when you feel something, when I feel happy, when I feel sad, when I feel discordant, when I feel joyous, you are in a state of it when you say, okay, I am feeling happy, and then there is a difference when you say, I am happy. And now I think maybe later I'll go into the video, but I think it's just important in the beginning of this video to just portray that you have this sense of self. And what that is you are the self, you are this pure, absolute perfection of energy, and that energy is coming out and having this incarnation, this life, and that part of you, that becomes your sense of self. And that sense of self, like, let's say that's not you, but let's say this is like divine source or ultimate absolute energy in its state of perfection, and you're coming out and you're having your little, here's your light, or let's say, here's the divine source that you are birthed from. And when you have your incarnation, your physical incarnation, you come out as this sort of sense of self. And self is something that we all have. When you say myself, another person can say myself. And while it means something individual to you, the self that we all use when we say that statement comes from the same source of energy. So the sense of self is basically the self energy, like I said, in your individual incarnation here. And when you become a sense of self, you are now this being of this self energy, sensing your experience. And your sense of self is going to be different from someone else's because you have different experiences throughout your life and throughout your soul's journey. So the collection of different frequencies and vibrations that you have ever felt or always felt is different than the cumulative frequency and vibrations that somebody else has experienced through their sense of self. And so it's important to know that the self is what exists in all of us, and we all have that sense of self. We often refer to that as myself, but when you say, oh, my sense of self, it's really your sense of self is, I think for most people think, oh, I'm sensing in my mind that that I'm individual. But I almost think that is, while that can be true in one perspective of that saying, that the more important meaning of that saying is really that you are a sense of self, which is really a self, a being that is of this energy that I'm saying is self, and that you're sensing basically through your experience. And so that is important, and that ties into the videos that I previously made about understanding the difference between what you are when you say I am something versus I am feeling something. So a lot of people are, I think as a way of expression of understanding their emotional body, you're going to say, I am feeling this. And when you really think about those words, I am feeling, it is not, I am creating a frequency and vibration within me that is happy. It is, I am feeling happy. And so what that means is if you have an engagement with another energy and it's really beautiful and it's really positive and you think, oh man, I'm feeling really happy, I'm feeling really great, I'm feeling this vibration, and that's because you've had an experience with another being and you guys are both having a positive experience, so you're sort of like radiating the frequency and vibration that's closer to your sort of pure state of energy, or like your the energy that is source, that is, like I've said in my previous videos, a state of energy that is in a state of absolute perfection. Energy can't be created or destroyed, so it's never creating and it's never destroying. And if it's not doing, creating, or destroying, it's just always existing in this state of perfection. And so that's the energy, ideally, that is high vibe, high frequency, the highest vibe, the highest frequency. And we have all these experiences or incarnations where we are at a lower vibration and frequency. And then through our sensory experience, we have moments or times in our lives where we are vibrating and in the frequency range that is closer to that which is divine source. And when we do that, we have the really positive ones. When you say, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling joyous, I'm feeling bliss. And when you do those and you say, I am feeling, it is reaching out and feeling that frequency and vibration. So you have to know that that source exists at an even higher frequency and vibration, because you're the self being that comes from there that experiences the feeling of joy and bliss. And so if you think of the most high frequency, thing that you can feel, you actually still exist as a higher vibration and frequency than that. Because you are the being, the self, that feels these frequencies. Even if you said pure, I am feeling pure bliss, if you are what feels pure bliss, if you are the self, the energy that has reached out and is touching in an etheric way that frequency and vibration, and now that frequency and vibration is just, you're resonating with it, and so it's vibrating through you, and you're like, whoa, I'm feeling this bliss, and it's amazing. You are actually what is feeling that, but you actually exist as a higher vibration, higher frequency. It's actually really funny because when you are in that really high vibration, high frequency state, you kind of think, I think most people think you're here, and when you feel bliss, it's like up here, because bliss is such a high vibration, a high frequency. And the reason I think that happens to people is, A, we are not taught at a young age that we actually exist as the high vibration, a high frequency, and this experience is all a accumulation of what I would say is a lower vibrations and frequencies that we experience through, like I said, the sense of self, the sensing that we do in this third dimension and other dimensions. But you have all these experiences, even from the minute of birth, that tend to, you're setting your individual frequency and vibration based on every experience that happens to you, even from basically being like, when your parents first create you and you are just having feelings of frequency and vibration within your mother's womb, all of that starts, it's like a math program. I don't want to say math program, but it's like your frequency and vibration is already starting to resonate with these different things. When you're in your mother's womb, all of her feelings and emotions are going to be frequencies and vibrations. And essentially when you're in your mother, you're really resonating a lot with what her energy is. And you, and you might get that, like when people say, oh, like pregnant women glow. It's because the energy of your baby, of the soul, or, your embryo, it's so high vibe and high frequency that a lot of women in that state are actually resonating with the baby's high vibration and high frequency. And usually that's because there is a lot of love. And when you have that vibration and frequency in you, and you are really a willing participant and expectant mother, then you're very open to that frequency and vibration. But anyway, that's probably a whole conversation for another video. But I just want to say that you, in the beginning of your life, all of a sudden you are registering all these frequencies and vibrations. The minute you are created within the womb, you start sensing these different frequencies and vibrations. And for the most part, that experience with your mother in such a joyous state of love, as it naturally should be for a mother, that you, like I said, you might actually be influencing your mother's frequency and vibration. But then when you come out, everything within your third dimensional life, like they say that frequency in third dimension is denser than frequency in fourth, fifth, sixth, and as you go higher. And so when you exist, when you first come into the embryo, you don't have a super dense form yet. You're building your form around you. So that's why you're so high vibe and high frequency right in the beginning. And then as the physical world becomes this more tangible thing that your mind and your heart and your body and your soul is processing, these other vibrations and frequencies, like we said, you start resonating with different things. And, that can be things as simple as whether you're a boy or whether you're a girl, or whether you have parents that are separated or parents who are together, or whether you have a parent that really wanted to, was ready to have you be birthed into this world, and maybe you had a parent that wasn't. All of that cumulative life experiences, that person, even though they also exist from this super high vibe frequency, this sense of self, whatever their cumulative life experiences, they're going to be vibrating at their own unique frequency and vibration. You also, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, could be resonating a different frequency and vibration, depending on how you feel and what's happening to you. And so when your parent has these frequency and vibrations as a child, very often we just end up resonating because we're interacting so much with our parents. Our parents are parenting us at this time and taking care of us. So a lot of that energy, I just feel, is like naturally imbued into the environment around you and into you, because you're not independent and you're not making your own independent choices. You get fed when people think that you're ready to be fed. I mean, other than when you cry, but basically that experience, as it keeps progressing and you become more defined as a person, and the environment that you're in becomes more defined, and the frequencies and vibrations that you resonate during that time become more defined, you then have this frequency and vibration that is, it's a tough thing to have to say lower, but in a sense, it just is. Third dimensional density frequencies and vibrations here are just at a lower frequency than those in fourth and fifth and sixth and beyond. So as you come into this incarnation, your frequency and vibration does have a way of altering the things around you, as in resonating in a way that may shift someone else's energy. But the more physical experience you have, it tends to put up more definition in your world. And when you have more definition in your world, you tend to then be this collection of other, I'm a boy and that has a frequency and vibration. I live in a small apartment, that has a frequency and vibration. Oh, my father isn't here anymore, he left my mom, that is a frequency and vibration. So all those resonant frequencies then become part of your, what you would call your, not personality, but part of your experience. And as a young child or a baby, you just resonate. You don't necessarily have the ability to make the choice to not resonate or resonate. I mean, some kids who are really bright do, and that's really great, but a lot of people, are just kind of flowing through the experience. So anyway, so it's just important to know that you have now the ability, if you're watching this video, if you have the information, to understand that when you are in really understanding in your sense of self, that you understand that you, the self, is here to sense. Your experience is about sensing all these different frequencies and vibrations. But there's a difference between sensing them and being them. And I think maybe we'll make a separate video about being vibration versus sensing vibrations and what that really means. Because I think a lot of people too are trying to manifest by saying, I am happy. And I think sometimes it's easier. In the beginning, there are stages to that. And so the first stage is, I'm feeling happy. And then someone says, I am happy, or I am feeling blissful and I am bliss. Now that's a really much more challenging statement. To say I am happy versus I am bliss that's a big difference. So I think in the beginning, if you're trying to raise your frequency and vibration, when you understand, when you feel different things, to know when you say I am feeling this and I am that, you are the higher vibration and frequency that is sensing that. And then, but if you find something that you really like, that you're really resonating with, that brings you a lot of joy, happiness, if you say, I'm sensing, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling gratitude. And then basically, like I was saying, when you are in this sense and you feel gratitude and you feel happy, to understand that as you are sort of grabbing on with your etheric hand to this frequency, and now it's like you're resonating with it and you're vibrating with it, that you can then sustain that. If you want to sustain that, you keep having things in your experience that are giving you that frequency and vibration, and that in turn leads to you being able to say, I am happy, I am blissful, I am grateful. And it's important to know what things, when you are in that sensing state, are giving you these higher vibrations and higher frequencies. And the reason I say, I think for a lot of people, it's hard to understand. A lot of us are just, like I said, from our 3D world and experience, you are sensing, or you are at a lower vibration and frequency in your physical form. So you are going through these stages of awareness, and that first stage is the feeling awareness, that sense of self. And when you bring your awareness to your sense of self and understanding that you grab a hold of a frequency and feel it, and then when you feel it in yourself, and you want to sustain that because it feels good, you keep doing whatever it is that makes you feel good or positive or grateful or whatever that frequency is. And when you sustain it, it'll help you raise your vibration and frequency. It's just because most people, like if you're watching this video, you probably are looking for ways to be a higher vibe and higher frequency. And it just means that you haven't lost your connection to source or the higher vibration, higher energy that you are, but we give our attention a lot to lower vibration and lower frequency things. Not negative, but just our attention to everything in our physical world, our job, our families, our friends. They can be in this lower vibrational state if we're not sustaining those aspects of our life in these higher vibrations and higher frequencies. That's why it's important to find a job that you love, to find groups of friends that you like to hang out with that bring you a lot of joy and happiness, when you have relationships in your family that you can sustain that are healthy. All of these frequencies and vibrations basically will help you to raise your vibration and frequency, unless you're a really lucky person and you're already doing it. But anyway, didn't want to make this video too long. I think if we have to do another video, I can do another video, but it's just a quick explanation of understanding your sense of self, understanding that if you feel like you're looking for tools to be higher vibration, higher frequency, to start being aware of your senses. And this goes the same for discordant frequencies and vibrations, especially for those, because those are a lot of the ones that people are looking to be healed from, or looking to be liberated from, as I like to say, in this time now. And so it's just really important that when you feel mad, I feel angry, I feel upset, you're reaching out with your etheric hand and you're feeling this vibration, and something in your experience has brought you this vibration, and your sense of self is feeling it. For you to go to a statement, I am mad, I am upset, I am unhappy, you are now making the choice to continue hanging on to that frequency. And that's really the most important part of this video, is that to be aware of your sense of self, any feeling that you have, especially emotions, whether they're positive or negative, to first state to yourself, I'm feeling this way. Don't just say, I am mad. Say, I feel mad. And then when you say it to yourself like that, something in your mind is going to click and say, okay, I'm actually just grabbing out and feeling this frequency that I am registering me as mad, which means I am not mad, but I am feeling it. And what happens is when you sustain it, technically speaking, with negative, with vibrations, when you say, I am mad, you're not really mad. It's kind of like an illusion of wording for you to even say something like that. But basically, if you say, I am mad, what it is you're just resonating with mad. Because you know that you are the self that reached out with your etheric hand, grabbed onto that frequency that you said, I am feeling mad. Well, I'm feeling this frequency mad. And now I'm resonating with it. And then because we've been programmed to train our minds to say, I am mad. You are not mad. You are the thing that reached out and had the feeling of mad. All you're doing now is resonating with it. And just the mindset of using the correct terminology for what you are experiencing, the correct terminology of your sense of self, will help you to realize that you are not necessarily, you're not these collections of emotions or frequencies that you feel. You are the thing that is sensing all of this as part of your life experience. So anyway, this video is a little bit longer than I wanted to, but hopefully that you got the message. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I think I'll try to make another shorter video on the same topic, so it'll be a little more concise, a little more to the point. But it's really important information to just keep in mind. And this is something that's an easy tool. It's just the difference of anytime you have a feeling to just say yourself, I am feeling this. Picture in your mind that you are feeling that frequency, but it's not actually you. And that'll give you a better understanding, especially with discordant frequencies, that you are not actually those things. And that to go to a state of ever saying, I am mad, I am upset, is actually the biggest illusion that you can put yourself inside. So anyway, that is super important. I hope that this video was helpful, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.